So I can like start off with an intro. You can take over for the next 30 minutes, 45 minutes. You can talk about freelancing, content creation, and content writing, the thing that you're specializing in, and how you transition
Hmm.
from being a freelancer to sort of building a business out of it. Anything
Right.
that you will, anything that you think might excite students. And then we can
Okay.
have like a 15-minute Q&A at the end. And since you said you want to finish by 8,
Okay.
Viraj, we need to wrap up by 8. So we
Yeah,
can close the
sure.
Q&A at, yeah, we'll have a dead stop at 8.
Yep.
Yeah,
Okay,
we have
great.
100 people, so I think we can start.
That's awesome. Lots of people. All right.
Uh, is it streaming? Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Hey guys, thanks a lot for joining in. Today I have Shreya Pattar with me. And Shreya is currently a student at Trinity College in Dublin. She's a very experienced copywriter and a content writer. You might have seen her content across Instagram and LinkedIn. She has over 100,000 followers on LinkedIn and over 45,000 followers on Instagram. And she keeps posting about LinkedIn, freelancing, and productivity. So if you haven't already checked it out, then do check it out. Great reels. She has also written books about freelancing, which you can check out on Instagram. These are books that will help you sort of understand how you can get clients and how you go about the entire freelancing route. Today, she'll be talking about how students can leverage freelancing, a bit about content writing, a bit about LinkedIn, and a bit about content creation and how it can help you build a personal brand. So thanks a lot, Shreya, for joining in, and over to you. At the end, we'll have a Q&A session. So if you guys want to ask any questions, you can leave them in the chat. We'll have it after Shreya's done with the talk. Over to you, Shreya. Oh, you're on mute. Yeah,
Great.
perfect.
Yeah. First of all, thanks to Harish because the last time we did the YouTube interview, it was really nice. And I really enjoyed the kind of audience I spoke to, and I really liked what Harish is up to. That is why I said, okay, let's do this. So I'm here to talk about freelancing and content writing mainly because that's what I do. That's exactly what I do. So just like as Harish said, that's basically my intro. I study English and philosophy. I am a content writer. I would now also start calling myself probably as an agency owner because I do have a small team of people working with me. And I think the major part of my growth that has happened with respect to my career has been in the last 1 year. So I started freelancing 2.5 years ago, and I think it's the last 1 year where uh, oddly enough, because of the pandemic, I had more time to myself, and instead of traveling to college and spending so much time back and forth, I was able to spend much more time at home and actually with my laptop, with LinkedIn, with Instagram, doing live sessions, creating videos, creating content, publishing content, responding to messages, booking calls, working with clients, all of these things. So that's exactly, I would say, having time to myself is one of the best things that happened in the past few months, where I was able to dedicate some more energy and more focus to my freelancing business. So what I'll go through is today I'll just give you a brief introduction first of how I got started, because I did not actually decide to start freelancing. It's something that happened to me. But the major thing is probably about how I picked up on freelancing, how I made it from something that just happened to me into something that's actually a very full-fledged, now a full-fledged full-time thing that I do. And it's also something that I'm planning to do for the foreseeable future. So how did I go from you know, so basically for my latest ebook, Money Calls, the tagline is somewhat like how I went from being a broke student to closing $5,000 plus deals. So how I went from somebody who just didn't know anything about an online business or anything about freelancing to actually making it a full-time thing. And as Harish said, at the end of this session, we'll have a Q&A. And what I want to do is I actually want to keep my talk short so that we can take more questions, because I realize that whatever tips I give, I think you will have more questions on how to apply them. So I would definitely love to take your questions. So let me talk for 15, 20 minutes. Hear me out, hear my story, hear some of my best tips on how to get started with freelancing. And then I'll take your questions as well. So the first thing I want to share is how I got started with freelancing. So I never decided that, okay, this is freelancing is what I want to do. So I need to start posting on social media. I need to start finding clients. That wasn't really what happened. which is why I think my starting point is slightly different from what yours might be. But the way the journey progresses is exactly the same. The process is the same. The way you go through everything is the same. The part of finding clients is all the same. So I think the story will actually help you understand what it takes to go from somebody who has no idea about content writing or freelancing to actually doing it well. So again, this is a story I've told many times, but I'm going to say it again because it's where it all began. So I moved to Dublin for my university in 2018, so in September 2018. And at the time, I was meeting a lot of people because college had just started. We had so many events. This was my first time as an international student. I had done rest of my schooling in India, so this was my first time being a part of college abroad. And at one of the events, I met the present executive chairman of LinkedIn, Jeff Feiner. I just met him. I had a short conversation with him. And that night, I went home and I wrote a LinkedIn post about meeting him, just posted it, and went to sleep. So I just had a LinkedIn profile like any other student, just you make a LinkedIn profile, you don't know what to do with it. So you just have a LinkedIn profile. I would, by the way, like to know if you have a LinkedIn profile, just comment comment in the chat box that yes, you have a LinkedIn profile because I think that'll help. So if you have a LinkedIn profile, I had a LinkedIn profile as well, but I never posted anything because I'm a student. I'm not looking for a job. I'm not looking for anything at all, not even internships. So why would I want to do anything on LinkedIn? So yes, lots of people have LinkedIn profiles. That's exactly, everyone has one, but no one knows what to do with it. So yeah, so that was my first post on LinkedIn. It's still up on my profile if you want to check it out. And the next morning, when I was in college, I was just in the middle of a lecture and my phone just kept buzzing constantly. And I usually don't get messages like ever. So I don't put my phone on like vibration mode off or anything. It's just on silent, but it still vibrates because I just never need to put it on full, off or whatever. So that was very weird because from my bag I could hear my phone constantly vibrating, and I never get as many messages as many my phone was trying to, indicate through its vibrations. And I ended up, checking my phone, and there were a lot of notifications, like 1,000 notifications on LinkedIn. And whenever I opened the app and I realized that that post had picked up, that first post of mine had gone viral. So over the next few days, that post got over 1.5 million views. And because of that post, I got a lot of messages from people saying, "Hey Shreya, we love the way you wrote the post. Can you write something for us as well?" And that's how I got my first 4 freelancing clients from that first LinkedIn post. So at the time, a few key points. I was a student. I did not have a degree. I was not looking for a job. I had only mentioned that I'm a content writer. I had not written any articles for anyone in my life before. A few internships, yes, I had done a few internships, but none of my work was published or out there. I never showed samples or anything like that before clients started approaching me and messaging me. It was just through my LinkedIn post and the way the post was written that my prospects reached out to me. So I was purely based on the writing style. And I think once I got those messages, I realized that it's not really about whether I have a degree. It's not about how old I am. It's not about whether I have experience, whether I've freelanced before, whether I've worked with the client, what kind of results I've got. It doesn't really matter. Because initially what matters is if you want to do content writing or any sort of freelancing, whatever thing or whatever skill you are freelancing in, what's important is that you are really good at it. So let's say you're a graphic designer, then you should just be really good at graphic designing. If you're a video editor, be really good at that. If you're a web developer, be really good at that. You don't really need experience of working with other people. You just need to be really good at that. You need to put your work out there and people will see it. People will see your work and approach you only based on that. Uh, you do not really need anything else to get started. And I will really emphasize on this point that you do not need anything else to get started. What you really need is a skill. First and foremost, you need a skill. Any skill that you can offer remotely is the best for freelancing. You don't want to end up going to needing to meet people. So you want to offer a service rather than a product, or you want to offer an online service rather than something that you would have to go and do. Let's say, like fixing a computer, that could be a freelance job, but it's something that you have to go and do, or people need to send in their computers, things like that. So you want to think of a skill set that uh, can be done remotely. So for example, I gave a few examples like, content writing, graphic designing, video editing, all of those kind of things. Apart from that, there's also something that's really coming up right now is being a virtual assistant, wherein like suppose as a business owner, you can help them manage their emails, manage their social media, set up their meetings, things like that, and people do pay very well for it. So the idea is that first thing is that you have a skill set. You need to have something that you can offer to people. Forget everything else in the beginning. This is the key. Please forget everything else, because if you think about everything else, it's just going to be overwhelming. Now, once you have a skill set, once the next step would be to start showcasing that skill set to other people. So how do you do that? The easiest way, of course, is social media. You put your work out on social media. So you do not need to work with clients. You can just create your own mock samples, which means you pretend you worked with a fake client, and you make something for them, and then you can upload it online. So once you upload it online, it's basically a piece of your work that people can see, and based on that they can understand what you do, how you do it, all of that. So that's how you can um, make your work visible. One way is to post your work online, but another thing is it's not easy to get reach online. So my first LinkedIn post, as I said, it went viral. 1.5 million views is a lot of views. Out of that, I got a few messages. Of course, not all worked out. So I ended up getting my first 4 clients through this first LinkedIn post. Now, what happened was, I thought, okay, great. So now that I understand, now that my first post went viral and the story I put, so in my head, I thought, now I understand how exactly LinkedIn works. So now I know exactly how to create another viral post. So I posted something that I really was proud of. I worked on new posts, edited it many, many times, made it really good, and then put it out on LinkedIn. And what happened was that my first post, the viral post, had 14,000 likes. My second post had around 40 likes. That's it, around 40 likes. And it was so weird because I was like, my first post went viral. What really happened here? How am I stuck at 40 likes? And it was a very, very strange feeling. And then I put another post and it had like 30 likes, another post, okay, 50 likes, another post, okay, 60 likes, another post, okay, 10 likes. Okay, so it's not consistent. It keeps going up and down. And I actually had not figured LinkedIn out. So I had no clue what I was doing, but I was just posting content. So what happened is my first post went viral. I thought I had figured everything out, but that's not the case. I had to keep posting content regularly. And at this point today, I have 93 or 94,000 followers on LinkedIn. And every single day, I get at least 3 leads, 3 inbound organic leads on my LinkedIn page, even if I don't post. And that happened because even when my engagement was low, I kept posting. So that's one thing, that you might have a one-off post that does really well, but the rest may not. The thing is that I stuck to it. That's why I was able to grow my page, and that's why I have views today. But now, what if you are starting from the stage where you don't really have a lot of views? Because look, the one-off post going viral, it was uh, it was a one-off thing even for me. It happened initially, and then it took many, many months, and after that, my post went viral again. So you can't really rely on virality of your content to get clients. So what do? You do 2 things. First is you reach out to people who you know. That's the best. So this is your best bet of getting your first few clients. At least your first 3 clients can be got through this, can be received, like, you can get them through this method. So just listen carefully. Reach out to people you'd know, like personally. So first would be like, let's say your family, your extended family, think of them. Your friends, think of them. Your relatives, think of them. Anybody you're connected with on LinkedIn, preferably somebody you've already spoken to, think of them. If there's anybody out of these kind of people who you know that could use your service, you should reach out to them. That's it. You should reach out to them and you should tell them, suppose like, suppose you're reaching out to me, you say something like, hey Shreya, I have started, okay, let me think about it. So let's say you're a content writer. So hey Shreya, I have started offering content writing services and I mainly focus on articles. I saw that your website is you have a really good website, but you haven't updated it in a long time. So would you like to try me out for one article? And you can offer this for free if you like. You can offer this for a discounted rate if you like. You can offer this for whatever rate you like. I would recommend either going for a low like friend discount kind of rate, or even for free if you think that nobody is willing to accept it yet. Why? Because you need to start working. The main goal should be to start working for other people rather than to start making money, especially for the first few clients. So you reach out to people, you tell them your skill set, you tell them what you offer, and see what they say about it. See how they respond. So if this is of interest to you, and if you're still looking for clients, I would say that it's 7:20 p.m. right now. As we're done with this session, make a list of 15 people, 15 people, and just DM them, either DM them on Instagram, WhatsApp, email, whatever you want to do. Just reach out to them, tell them of a service you offer, and ask them if they would be interested in hiring you. It could be a one-off thing, it could be a big project, whatever you like. Okay, go ahead with that. Now, the second method of finding clients is the same. That you reach out to people, but this time you reach out to people you don't know. So you start with people you know. Why? Because it's very easy for you to understand whether they need your service or not, whether they would be interested in availing your service or not, and you would also be more comfortable in working with them. And because you're starting out new, it's good to work with people you know because they are more willing to let go of your mistakes or errors because, well, they know you. So it's much easier for both of you to work with each other. So that's what I recommend going in for. But of course, the next step is that you reach out to somebody you don't know. And you use the same format to reach out them, pitching your service. Don't mention the cost, just say what you do, say how you can benefit them. So make it a very personalized message. So let's say you are a video editor and you are DMing me on Instagram for video editing services. So you would say something like this. Hey Shreya, I've been following you for a few months and your tip of charging in advance has saved me a ton of money and a ton of stress and pressure while working with clients. Thank you for that. So that's your personalized line. Okay. Um, hey, let me take a name from Hey, I'm Gayatri and I offer video editing services. I saw that you make so many IGTVs and I think we can turn them into awesome bite-sized reels. You wouldn't have to invest any time into it and it would also help you get more reach. So what do you think about that? Do you have time to speak about it this week? That's it. That's your personalized message. So first is you talked about me. It made me happy that, okay, you are somebody who knows me. You are somebody who actually follows my content, who understands what I do. And the next thing you did was you introduced yourself as a video editor. That's great. And the next thing you did was you told me why your service would help me. So first is I really like the idea that, okay, yay, I already have content and I agree that Reels would be a great way. If somebody can make the Reels for me, I'm happy. That's a really reliable moment. And then when you say that it doesn't take any extra time from me, the Reels are, the videos are already ready, you just do the crop, and you will put them together as Reels, that's enough, then I'm happier because I do not even have to spend time on it. So that's how you good message. This is called, the term outreach. Are you reaching someone who doesn't know you? So it's cold. It's not, you haven't had a time to warm up to each other, but it's a cold outreach because you're just reaching out to them cold. Okay. So use this method to reach out to people and find your clients. Now the next thing would be, of course, that you actually start working working with your clients. And once you have a skill set, once you start reaching out to people, now comes the work. Now, the work, of course, would depend on whatever your client requires, whatever you can offer the client, whatever kind of results you can get. Let me just give you a few overview, like a few pointers for how to work with your client. Now, this it's difficult for me to go into depth on this in like a few minutes. But I do have in-depth videos on all of these topics on my Instagram. Like every single topic is an in-depth video, so you can check that out if you want to. It's free to watch. It's also on my YouTube video, also on my YouTube channel. It's free to watch. You can check those out. But let me give you a few pointers so that you can get started. And as I said, you reach out to 15 people and you can get started like right now if you want to. So a few pointers about working with the client. First is I highly recommend you charge in advance. What does charge in advance means? It means you get paid before you start working on the project. This is something I always stick by and I will always recommend no matter how new you are, because anytime you push the money to the end of the project, it's very highly likely that you're not going to get paid. And this is based on personal experience. This is based on experiences of all the thousands of freelancers that message me every single week. And most of the people do not get paid just because they didn't charge in advance. So charge in advance, that's a key rule. Now, how much should you charge? This is a very, very, very tricky point. So what I'm going to say is charge what you feel is right for you. Literally charge what you feel is right for you. So if you feel like for a project, 1,000 rupees is good enough, start with that. Just start with that. See how you feel once you start working, once you finish the work, and you can change the rate next time. Again, if you feel 5,000 rupees is right for you, start with that. And then again, do the project, see how it feels, see how you feel after finishing the project, and then go ahead and change your rate. What this does is you are not relying on industry standards. You are not going to waste time asking people around for their freelancing rates because their freelancing rates don't really matter. When you keep asking other people, you are going to be stuck in a limit. Let's say, suppose somebody charging 1,000 rupees for a project, which you want to charge 2,000 rupees for, then you are going to be mentally stuck that, oh no, I can only charge 1,000 rupees because that person is charging 1,000 rupees. So you do not want to be in that mindset and that, that cage at all. So don't ask people for their charges. Instead, just do a project, see how you feel about it. It's okay if you feel you're paid less and all. That's completely fine. Increase your rate next time. You will learn through experience. So for pricing, my tip is that you charge what you feel is right. That's just how you need to start. Charge what you feel is right, and you'll be able to figure out the next step. Things like invoices, contracts are very important. You can, instead of doing a full-fledged contract, you can do it on email as well. That's not an issue. Invoices, always make sure you're following a good invoice template. You can find them easily online. And just make sure you include all the details, you include the currency, you include the bank details properly, and then send the invoice. Also, for your contract, a few key points for your contract that a lot of people miss out on, but I think you should really use. First is always set a limit of how many content pieces you're offering and in how much duration, okay? So if it's a month-long project, make sure that the project is supposed to be completed within a month. Make sure that the client is aware of that so that you do not end up dragging the project to 3 or 4 months just because the client was not available for review work or something like that. This happened to me a lot of times in the initial few months rather of my career, where I just, I set a monthly project, but they kept dragging it. And so I just got paid 1 month amount for like 4 months. And that's, although it's the same scope of work, but it just dragged out to 4 months, whereas I could have raised 4 different invoices in that time. So set a limit for the max date that the project must be completed by. That's important. Second, offer fixed rounds of edits. So especially if you're like in the space of content writing, graphic designing, video editing, where you offer edits for anything that you've done, offer fixed rounds. That's much better. And of course, if you have a very long-term client, feel free to give them a free edit or so. That's something I do, and that helps with relationship building as well. And as I said, again, I'll come back to in your contract, make sure you are sticking to your payment policy. Minimum charge 50% advance. That should be like a non-negotiable thing. Um, it'll be something that'll be so, what do you say? It'll be such a big relief for you as well, because you know the money has come in at least 50%, and you will also work with much more, peace and calm and quiet. So charge at least 50% in advance. And if you can, over time, charge 100% in advance. Yes, people do pay 100% advance, and that's my only policy. I do not work now without 100% advance. So grow up to that. Just make sure, keep it in the back of your head. Even if you can't do it right now, it's okay. Start with what you're comfortable with, but keep it in the back of your head, because this is something that's going to really change how you work. And you'll also realize that anyone who's paying a anyone who's paying an advance payment is actually one of the best clients you'll work with. Not all the time, but most of the time. So yeah, so that's a few things about your contracts and working with the client. And in general, once you have worked with the client, now I won't talk about the working process, because that, of course, depends on what skill set you have. The main thing would be to constantly communicate with your client very effectively. Always have clear communication. Set up a call when you need. Set set boundaries. Let them know that you cannot pick up calls beyond a certain time. Let's say beyond 5 p.m. You're not going to pick up work calls. Tell them that. They can probably reach out to you on WhatsApp anytime, but set boundaries for yourself as well, and try to avoid working beyond certain hours. Like, don't look at your work messages after like at least 9 p.m. Do not do that. Just for your own mental sanity as well. And once you're done with your work, get a testimonial from your client. Super important when you're starting out. Always get a testimonial, because this is exactly what's going to help you get more clients, bigger clients, and higher paying clients, because higher paying clients would need to see more of your work. So you do want to collect testimonials, super important. And finally, ask them for references. So once you've completed work with your client, ask them if they know anyone who you could offer your services to. So do check that out as well. And that's it. That's the full process of going from not being a freelancer to finding your first client and even completing your first project, because that's just how it is. You just take it step by step. Don't focus too much on the niche. Don't focus too much on the target audience. Don't focus too much on which platform, how to do this, how to do that. No, just start doing it. Take it step by step, and it'll be so much easier if you don't overwhelm yourself, because the basic process is really straightforward. Find a client, work for them. 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 That's what freelancing is. Keep finding clients and keep working for them. So yeah, that's how you get started as a freelancer. I hope that helps you out. And Harish, should we take questions now? What do you think?
Yeah,
I see a lot
sure.
of questions.
I've noted a bunch of questions. I can
Okay,
just take them. Hang on.
sure.
Yeah. So what caused the hockey stick growth on your Instagram account? Because I remember the last time we met, I think you were at
Mm,
8,000 followers or something, and right now you're at
yeah.
45,000. So what do you think you did right? And what were the learnings? What were the things that did not work at all? Results of your experiments.
A lot of my reels went viral. So there were a few of my reels that shot at 1 million plus. There was one
Wow.
reel that went to 2 million. There was one particular week when I was at 30K. There was one week, or when I was at 20K maybe. Something like that, 30K maybe.
Hmm.
Something like that. There was one particular week where three of my reels went viral together. So there was one reel, I think total I got like 4 million views out of those three reels. And because of that, I went from 30K to 40K or 20K to something. I just gained 10,000 followers in like
Wow.
4 days because of that. Um, a weird thing, I still don't know what works on Instagram, because I had hit 46K
Hmm.
2 months ago. And
Okay.
for some reason, it's just going down
Mm.
now. I have no clue why. I
Oh,
have
you're still
no
posting
idea
content.
what's going wrong. I'm still posting content. I'm
Okay.
still posting content every single day. It's the same sort of content. It's about freelancing. There's a lot of people like my stories, so I share a lot of stories. There's a lot of entertaining content. There's a lot of
Mhm.
stuff going on. what's happened to go like a reverse hockey stick, I'm not sure. But yeah, that's how things are, and I don't really. It bothered me for a bit, but now I'm like, if it goes up, we'll see.
Yeah, but
For
still,
now,
it's
you
like you
can.
have 40,000 legitimate followers now. We must
Yeah,
follow you.
yeah. No, it's good. I think the most favorite thing of mine is stories. I love doing Q&As. I am
Mhm.
constantly active on stories. I used to do Q&As probably like once every 10 days or something. Now I do one like every alternative because I love answering questions,
Got
which
it.
is why I'm here as well. I love answering questions. So I would say, yeah, find something different because
Mhm.
when I started my Instagram page, nobody was doing in-depth live sessions teaching how to create an invoice. I mean, why would anyone do it for such a simple topic, and why would anyone do it at all? If anyone did do it, why would anyone be so crazy to do it 3 times a week? Because I was
Mhm.
doing live sessions of like 40 minutes each, 3 times a week, and that's a huge commitment. And I did that for like six, 4 or 6 months, like 4 or 6 good months every. So yeah, you'll find a lot of IGTV. So find something that makes you different. You don't have to commit crazy amount of time like me. That was because I was on a summer break and this is the pandemic.
Mhm.
But yeah, find something that makes you different, and that will definitely help attract more people towards you.
Got it. Interesting. And this brings me to
Yeah.
the second question. You said you post daily. You post multiple stories a day. You do one reel or a post a day. How do you deal with creative blocks? Because it's very hard to stay consistent in social media. How do you come up with ideas? How do you make sure you have something to post every single day?
Hmm. I don't post every single day. I think that would be the easiest answer. Um, there are times when I really do not know what to post at all, and those are the days when I just leave it. I do not try to force it because I know that if I force it, it will just get lost in the algorithm. So I would say
You're on mute. Can't hear you.
okay. Okay, can you
Yeah,
see me now?
that's
I
good.
think I was
Yeah, that's
kicked
good.
out of the meeting. All
Oh,
right. Okay. Okay, can you hear me? All
yeah,
good?
now it's cool. Yeah.
Perfect. All right. So yeah. So I would just say that, mainly there are times when I do not have content ideas, I don't post. Mainly because I've realized that when I do post, the post feels very forced. Like it seems like, yeah, she
Mhm.
didn't know what to post, so she just put something for the sake of posting. So I would say, just avoid posting. It's fine. But then again, in the initial days, it's also important to be consistent. So don't end up sitting and not doing anything, but just think of something else to post the next day.
Mhm.
One thing that really works for me is actually, for some reason, if I sit down once and if let's say I write some points for a reel, okay, I end up coming up with 15 different ideas for what to make reels on. So now I have a list that I have to shoot, and I
Mhm.
already shot a few series last week, which is why the post that you'll see on my Instagram feed recently, I'm wearing the same T-shirt and all of them
Mhm.
because it's weird to change clothes in Bombay because you have to keep putting everything for a wash. So I didn't really
Yeah.
want to change, but yeah, that's what I do. If you have to do something like create videos,
Mhm.
it's a good idea to do it in one go. I find it liberating to not have to do it again and again.
Makes sense. So you're
But yeah,
saying
take a break.
picking one day of the week, shooting a bunch of videos, and then scheduling it out is much more
Yeah,
efficient than trying to shoot every single day.
yeah, it is. But I would say that's something that comes with time, because
Hmm.
with time you realize, okay, this is the topic that works. This is what something that I want to make. And because I've already done so many topics, so I know what I shouldn't be making. But when
Hmm.
you're starting out, you're just broad, and I would say just go ahead and create whatever you want. And if you are stuck, it's okay to take a break. That's
Makes sense.
super
Yeah.
important. Yeah.
Another question is, what type of clients you don't like working with? How do you like categorize them? Like the moment you sort of have some cues about a particular
Hmm.
client, you're like, oh no, I'm not going to work with them. How do you spot that?
Okay. So I had a prospect call last week. It was a pretty good call. Even the prospect was very interested in, working with me. They were like, "Oh yeah, the fee is fine. This is fine. That is fine." And I was just talking to my parents about it yesterday, about the call, and they were like, "How did that go? Where did that go?" And I was like,
Mhm.
"I don't think that's going to work out." And they were like, "Why? What about it? That person was happy with everything. Why?" I was like, I don't know. It's just my feeling. It's just there in my. I can just tell that this person is not going to work out. So sometimes it's usually intuition. Like, I get the feeling that okay, this is not somebody I can work with. Just as soon as I take the call with them, or somebody, okay, even if I want to work with them, they're not probably not going to be. They're going to back out later. That's one thing. But I do have some red flags that I keep in mind with prospect calls, especially. First is if you're late to the meeting, like especially if you're late more than 15 minutes, it's a big no-no. I've had a client, I actually ended up converting somebody like this. This person was late, actually didn't show up to two prospect calls, but was very adamant on working with me. So I booked another call. I waited again on the third call for 15 minutes, and then the person came on the call. They paid me the advance and everything, and I gave them half the work for review, and they never got back to me. They paid the full money, they didn't do the work, and I kept following up. I can't do anything after that. So I kept following up, and then that wasn't a good experience. Um, Anybody who shows up late on the call, anybody who denies advance payment, or like, oh, that's a no from me. No. Third would be we told that the project is over and we have finished it. So these are the three main things.
I think we lost you there.
Three red flags. Can you hear me?
Yeah, now it's fine. We lost you for like 20 seconds. Guys, can you hear Shreya? Oh, she's gone.
She's back, but it's black screen.
Yeah. Um, Shreya, are you there? Cool. In the meantime, you guys can drop in some questions. I'll see if there is anything interesting, and then sort of ask those.
Hey, Harish, can you see me? I can't see you.
I can't
If
see
anyone
you
else can
either,
see me or
but
hear
you're
me,
audible though. So I guess we'll just continue. Cool, guys. In the meantime, you can drop in some questions. Daksh is asking, how do you stand out from everyone? I think the only way of standing out, in my opinion, would be to build a personal brand. So Shreya has a personal brand on LinkedIn and Instagram, and maybe that's sort of makes it way more easier for her to get clients, because it just gives you leverage, right? If someone has 100,000 followers on LinkedIn, it brings them social capital. So if Shreya sort of asks someone if she can work with them, they might take a look at the profile and be like, oh damn, 100,000 followers means she's doing something right and she has experience in content writing, and that's why she's pretty popular. So that way Shreya might have a leverage in terms of the personal brand. She can like have a price arbitrage. She can charge higher because she has this social capital, this number of followers to back it up with. So I think building a personal brand would be super useful if you really want to stand out. And there are a bunch of ways of building a personal brand. Start a YouTube channel, or start posting on LinkedIn, or start posting on Instagram. See which one works out best for you, and then sort of double down on it. So that would be my suggestion, Taksh Rathor, for the question that you asked. How to grow on Instagram? Rupinder is asking. I have no clue. Let's wait to hear it from Shreya. Um, I think Reels sort of works. I've seen a lot of people grow on Reels. That's sort of picking up. So if you make really good Reels and if it's shared across, then you can get a flood of subscribers and followers. Instagram keeps promoting these Reels. I think that's their new strategy, which is to like Instagram wants to compete with platforms like TikTok in the West, right? So it's pushing out Reels as much as possible. So even if you post a random reel, you'll start getting a lot of likes and views because it wants other people to watch it, and it'll eventually push it. So if I were to choose platforms to get into right now, if I'm a newbie, I would get into LinkedIn because growing on LinkedIn is pretty easy now. If you do the right kind of posts, and Instagram Reels, because it's sort of, Instagram is pushing Reels a lot, so might work out well. Okay. Is she back?
Yep,
Oh,
I'm
yeah,
back.
Shreya's back. Cool.
Yeah.
I was answering a few questions on your behalf. Yeah, you're back in
Mm-hmm.
Spotlight. Cool.
That's for a bit.
Um, the question we were on is, okay, I think we finished it off where you were telling which kind of clients you do not want to work with.
Mhm.
The next question is, how do you find a skill that you should focus on? Because as most college students, they have a bunch of things to work on. They might be like, hey, I want to do web dev. I want to maybe write content. I want to maybe post videos. I want to edit videos. I want to do graphic design. So how do you choose what your calling is? How do you choose that content writing was what you're interested in and you want to do it for the next 10 years of your life?
I would say try everything out. Okay, so even though you have a lot of interest, you'll probably have one that you really lean towards. So even if you want to do web development and graphic designing, you'll probably lean towards one the most because you find it easier, you find it more, you feel more comfortable doing it, you enjoy it more. There will be something, an even better thing to do is combine all these skills and use that to create a new service. So, for example, let's say web development and this means that you can also design the images and the banners and the pictures that go on a website, which means you can charge more because you're not only creating the website in terms of the layout and the design, but you're also creating the images that go on the website. Plus, if you're a content writer, you can do that as well. So you just keep adding a cost, you package it as a full-fledged service, and you can charge higher for it. And that's exactly how you create high-ticket offers. You combine different services or you combine different skill sets, combine a number of things that you do, put them together, give them as a one-stop shop service kind of place for your client, and then offer it. Why would a client accept that? First, because it means you are the one working on the full thing. So the client is happy to deal with one freelancer than to deal with so many different people. Because especially for websites, let's say dealing with a content writer and a web developer in two different senses it's quite difficult. They have to be connected with each other, and if they're not working well with each other, then it's very difficult to get the project done on time. So that's one thing. And the second thing is because when you are doing all the work, you know exactly how everything is supposed to be fit together. So you will be able to give your best work because it's your hands on this full project. If you find this too overwhelming, as Hari said, college students have a lot of different interests. So get one or two of your friends to do this with you. Okay. So just form a small team. You don't have to think of partnership or things like that. You can just get them on a one-off project. Sometimes give them a revenue share, or sometimes they'll even work for free because they're your friend and you're making a portfolio, something like that. Just get them on board and divide the work. This will also teach you how to work in a team, how to hire people. So I think if you're in a college setting, and especially in India, because you have hostels, you have people who really hang out together constantly. I think it's a really great way to get people together and then start pitching your service. So if you have different interests, that's great. It means you have a high ticket offer almost ready to go, and as long as you can manage the work, I think you can do well. So I hope that helps.
Yep. Really like the point of working in a team while you're at college. Like even back in second year and first year when I used to freelance, it was always a team effort because one of them used to write blogs, I used to make websites, so it just became like an
Mm-hmm.
agency, and it's just so motivating because if you're alone, it might not be that exciting and fun to work. But then
Yeah.
if you're sort of working with your friends and doing stuff together, that's motivating. Plus helps you upskill and earn some money on the side.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Yeah. The final question is, before we wrap it up, what are your opinions on platforms, freelancing platforms like Fiverr or Upwork or Freelancer.in. Have you used them? Do you recommend people to use it? Because I've heard a lot of people say that these platforms are super saturated. There are just so many Asians out there that it's hard to get projects on these platforms. What's your opinion on them?
The saturation everyone everything. I mean, there's a use the saturation of people on Instagram. There's like a billion people and there's 500 million users every month on Instagram. That's a saturated place. There's again a few hundred million people using LinkedIn. There's of course billions of people using Facebook. There's billions of people, or let's say millions of people who are becoming who are doctors already, who are engineers already, but you're still doing those things. Why? Because well, you want to do them, so you're going ahead and doing it. So I would say first is that remove the idea of saturation, because uh, there will always be a lot of people doing the same thing. What you want to do is, as I said, you want to become different by combining different skill sets, offering something new, and then becoming standing out in this whole scenario. Now, what do I think about freelancing platforms? I don't think they're a good way to kick this off. I'll tell you why. It's not really about the saturation as much as it's about the concept of freelancing platforms. Let's say anything like any of these freelancing platforms, they are bidding based. What does this mean? That let's say I'm a prospect, I put out a request that, okay, I want 10 blogs every month and I'm looking for writers for this. And now I get messages from 100 different writers. Now, if my criteria is having a decent writer, because I don't want an excellent one or whatever, but having a decent writer at the lowest pay possible, then I'm probably going to go with somebody who's charging me $100 for the 10 articles as compared to somebody who's charging me $1,000 for 10 articles. The work will be different, the quality will be different, the nature of working with these people will also be different. But because it's a bidding based platform, this means they have a range of options, right from $10 a month to $2,000 plus a month. So what this becomes about really is how much you're charging. So it becomes very difficult to close projects at a higher rate. Now, there will always be outliers. You will see some people on Instagram who said they made a lot of hundreds of thousands of dollars through Fiverr, through Freelancer, and that's fine. It works for them. But you have to realize that most of us are in the majority section. We are not one of those outliers in most cases who can, just start doing that through a platform like this, because it's not easy. As I said, it's bidding based, which means hundreds of people are applying for the same thing. I don't recommend bidding ever. Like if you're a freelancer, work independently and apply to projects where you are pitching as an individual person or as an individual service provider, as opposed to being one in the crowd. Which is why I would say that I do not even pitch to anybody who reaches out to me and says, hey, we're looking for a freelance content writer, fill this form and we'll reach out to you if you're the right fit. No. Why? Because I do not want to compete with other people at all. I do not bid for projects. I say that if you are interested in hiring me, let's talk. But if you are trying to select me based on this and that, I'm probably not going to be your first choice anyway. So let's leave it for some other time. So that's my view on the bidding thing. I do have a freelancer and Fiverr and stuff. I do have a profile which I set up before I started freelancing. I was like, everyone's doing it. Let's see what happens. Never figured it out. It's quite tedious. And also there are issues with payments being stuck up and things like that. So do what I told you. Reach out to people you know, step one. Step two, reach out to people you don't know. And step three, keep creating content. Do all of this simultaneously. Especially step one, you can do it tonight. Just reach out to 15 people. Guaranteed you will close at least one person. If you reach out to 15 good people who actually need your service, not just anybody, but who you think need your service. Why am I telling you this? Because this was a part of my free email challenge that I ran in January. I did a 10-day email challenge to get people from not even knowing what skill set to freelance in to actually finding the first client. Anybody who followed through with that series actually ended up getting their first client. And this was the basic fundamental concept of finding clients. Reach out to 15 people you know. You will definitely close if you reach out to them strategically. So try that out tonight. And if you do find a client within this week, then just DM me on Instagram and let me know. I would love to know about that. Or even if you didn't, then I'm happy to help you, fix up your message and things like that.
Awesome. That should be super helpful.
Yeah.
So, since you have a hard stop at 8, I'm not going to take much of your time. Really appreciate you taking out time and joining us today. Always pleasure having you. And thanks a ton. I think the audience loved the session. The comment section is full of praises. Yep.
Yeah.
See you later. And thanks a ton. Take care.